So, when I, a female, was 19, I was looking for a room to rent in the city that I was moving to for college. It was about an hour away from my family. I wasn't having much luck, and my mum started helping me look for a place. She found an ad on Craigslist for a room for like $300 in a house, everything included. The homeowner was a man, and he rented the additional rooms upstairs to other women while he lived in the finished basement. The ad stated that he rarely ever saw the other roommates because he had a kitchen and his own entrance downstairs, and that he preferred women because he had issues with male roommates in the past partying and causing damage. We decided to take a look since it was the cheapest that we could find in the area. My mum and I went to the house to view it. It was a decent house and a decent neighborhood too. He opened the door and was very welcoming. He was middle-aged, and the kitchen and the living room were furnished really nicely and clean. My mum loves to talk and get to know people, so they were sort of engaged in conversation while I stood there quietly and observed the place. He then said that he would show me my room. We head to the staircase to go up, as I thought, since he said on the phone that my room was upstairs with the other roommates. But he opens another door and we follow. He takes us down to the basement and opens a door to a very small room. No closet and no windows. He proceeds to say that this is apparently my room and I'll be sharing the bathroom in the hallway with him, and his bedroom did not have a door on it. I was definitely thinking, absolutely not. This is weird, but they were so deep in conversation that I really couldn't interject. He then leads us to the upstairs and shows us the other rooms, which the doors were open, and says that they're currently rented. He then starts telling us elaborate stories about the other women, not very nice stories too, describing like drinking problems and stuff like that. My mum was listening intently, but I took the time to investigate further. I looked in all 3 rooms and the bathrooms. There was furniture, but not a single item in there that looked like it belonged to a woman. No clothes or anything. Only men's clothes in one of the closets. He had no problem with me creeping around his tenant's room without their permission. I then heard him tell my mum that he has some of his stuff in their closets, but they don't mind, and I'm just like, why the heck would a tenant pay you for you to use their space as storage? I was feeling really uncomfortable and started moving them back downstairs as they talked. My mum had mentioned when we arrived that her and my dad were going on vacation the next week, but I couldn't go because I had to work. He brought it up again, and that I should come by next week and have dinner with him and the roomies to see if we would all get along. I said sure to this, and we just left. As soon as we got in the car, I told my mum that I would definitely not be living there. She was dumbfounded. I had to explain to her not only did he lie about the room that I would be in, that I was not supposed to be in the basement with him, as well as share a bathroom with him, and he didn't even have a door, but also did she not notice how no one else even lived there? She still didn't get it and thought that I was just being paranoid and thought that he was nice and it was a cheap deal. In the end too, I had to explain it to my stepdad and get him to tell her by no means would I be living there. I tried to report the post, but by the time that we got home that day, he had removed it. I think that he may have been planning on doing something at dinner or abducting me and holding me hostage in that basement room that had no way to escape. Also, before I finish, I would just like to add some details. So, this happened in 2011, so it's been quite a while. When he took us upstairs, there was a wide landing that was surrounded by the rooms. And as soon as we got up there, he motions towards one of the rooms and started this long, intricate story about the woman who lived in there and talking about her alcoholism and a crazy ex. He was very exaggerated in how he talked with a lot of gestures. My mum stood there listening the whole time. I don't know if it was sheer distraction or she just didn't want to be rude, like not listening and all, but either way, I don't recall her ever having a good look around those rooms. I went and looked, obviously. All the doors were open, had neatly made beds with dark wood bed frames, mirrors, nightstands, stuff like that. There were sliding mirror closets, and they were completely empty except for one had men's clothes hanging pushed against one corner. Nothing was on the nightstands other than a lamp, and nothing on the bureaus. I went into the bathrooms, and there was nothing on the vanity in them, other than, like, hand soap, I guess. I looked in the showers too, but nothing other than bar soap. The bedroom on the left had an empty suitcase laying open in the middle of the bed. This was one of the rooms with the empty closet. But after seeing all this, I came back onto the landing and started slowly heading down the stairs. They were still talking and absentmindedly followed me down to the living room. That's when he mentioned dinner, and we left shortly after, and I think that's why my mum didn't notice a lot and didn't believe me at first. She didn't take more than a quick glance upstairs, and when we were in the basement, he was sort of just as talkative, I guess. Someone who works in law enforcement pointed out once to me that this was probably actually a sex trafficking situation. The bedroom in the basement is where a victim is likely kept, drugged and abused until broken and then trafficked. I honestly think that this is more plausible with the situation, as well as my city is actually a hotspot for that. I honestly think too that this is more plausible with the situation, as well as my city is actually a hotspot for this. I'm just grateful that we got out of there in the end, and I hope my experience could help someone one day notice the details and get out of the situation safely. Like I said, this guy was obviously lying about a lot of things. There was nobody else in that house, and if I had taken it and been the only one there with him, who knows what would have happened.